Now, there's been a lot of talk about the ATO cracking down on property investors this tax season. They're not necessarily talking about depreciation schedules per se, but they are talking about deductions and your eligibility to claim them. The Assistant ATO Tax Commissioner said that in one of their samples where people were claiming rental deductions, 9 out of 10 of them had problems with those deductions. They were basically thrown back. Now, in my view, that comes down to 3 key areas. You've got incorrectly assigned repairs and maintenance expenses, you've got interest deductibility, and you've got the eligibility of those deductions. Starting with repairs and maintenance, they're a great deduction because they're immediate. So if you have $2,000 worth of maintenance expenses in a particular year, then that's a $2,000 immediate deduction in the year those costs were incurred. It's important though to understand whether they actually qualify as repairs and maintenance. Repairs and maintenance applies to improvements to an asset that remains in place, whereas basically an improvement or a depreciable item is replacing like for like. Now, this is an important way that investors can get really caught out, and I've shared a blog that should help you determine whether your costs are repairs and maintenance or whether they need to be depreciated over the effective life of the asset. Let's move on to the eligibility of those deductions. A key one here is holiday homes. Now, if you live in your holiday home or you occupy your holiday home for 6 weeks of the year, you need to make sure that for 6 of the weeks of that year, you're not claiming any deductions on that asset. Similarly, if you block it out with, say, your real estate agent for the whole summer, then you're not entitled to claim deductions for that portion of the year. This particular problem led to the fining of a property investor with a holiday home, and they had to pay in excess of $12,000. The other one is the interest deductions. So the ATO will be making sure that you're only claiming your deductions on your investment property and it's interest only and not the principal. One key area where people are getting caught out is that they're removing equity from their property, so they're revaluing the property and taking equity out to, say, buy a car, and they're claiming that higher interest amount because their loan has gone up as a deduction, where they're not entitled to do that because it's not part of an income producing asset. So it's important to have an accountant to guide you through the process and make sure you've got everything ready to go to make sure you're not falling foul of these key issues and things that the ATO are targeting. They'll also be looking at persons within particular industries and what the average claims are. So they'll be benchmarking like they have in the past, but they've got extra resources. So it's always important, whether you're talking about deductions for your investment property or work-related expenses, to keep great records, have your item or expense, date and cost, and back that up so that if you get one of those please explain letters, you're able to speak to the ATO and show the legitimacy of that deduction. I hope that gives you some good tips on how not to fall foul of the ATO, and your visit to the accountant this year is a fruitful one. Cheers.